guys, today I thought I would take you through a short post cycling biking stretch. You'll need to have nearby maybe 2 blankets, 2 blocks, and a belt. And we're going to get started laying on our belly. So you can come on down to your mat for a pose called Sphinx pose. So you'll have your elbows just below your shoulders, maybe slightly forward of that, but about shoulder width. You can do whatever you want with your hands. They can be together, apart. You can hold opposite elbow. What we're going for here is a little stress in the lower back and some opening through the chest. Usually when we're on our bike, we are in kind of like a rounded back position. Honestly, most of the day we're in this kind of forward flexed position with the spine rounded, pelvis tilted backwards, chest closed off, and then our head juts up. And so there's a lot of tension in the back of the neck. So here we're going to kind of reshape the spine, find those natural curves, and you can have your head looking forward, which might be a little bit less of a stretch in the back of the neck. So if you let your head just come a little bit forward, pull the chin back, you'll find that you get a nice little stretch to the back of the neck. However, you can let your head release completely forward, getting a little stretch into the back of the neck. Or you could even have one of your blocks and rest your head on that block. Just rest the forehead down. Now your feet can be together or even wider than the mat, anywhere that feels the most comfortable for you. You might notice if you have your feet together, it's a little less stress on the back than maybe having the feet wide. Some people even might like to bend the knees here, creating even a little bit more in the lower back. Find what works for you, and that's what we're going for in all these poses. You want to find just kind of that Goldilocks place for you. Not too little, not too much, just right. And then we hold for time here. As you're holding for time, just find your breath. See if you can allow for full breath in and a long and slow, complete breath out. And just notice that the longer that you're here, the sensations may change. So you have permission, if you will, to decide that you're too deep. You might take your elbows a little more forward. You might decide that you'd like to prop yourself up a little bit more and create a little bit more stress. You could use your blanket stack, or you could use your blocks, just propping them up underneath your elbows. So really only you know how much stress you're feeling here. This is one of my favorite shapes to place my body in after a nice long bike ride. Not only do I get to lay down on the floor and rest, but just this shape is such a great counter pose. So we're going to hold for about another minute or so. If your mind drifts off, just guide it back to the breath. I always encourage my students to close their eyes so that you're not distracted by all the visuals. And you can instead tune in to the sensations. Three more breaths here. After that third breath, you can start to lower yourself down and take your elbows wide and just let your forehead rest on your stacked palms. So your back might talk to you a little bit coming out more than it was talking to you coming in. Just breathe some breaths into that lower back. So the next pose is going to be based off of that shape. However, if it's too much for you, you can always lower down here to rest your forehead on stacked or one palm if it's too much in your back. So we'll start in that Sphinx pose, and you can have a belt handy in case you need it. We'll bend into the left knee and reach back to catch the foot, inner foot, outer foot over the top, whatever you can get a hold of. And just catching that foot might be enough, or a pant leg. If you want a little more, you can start to draw it in towards your outer hip. Maybe turn the fingers and toes the same direction if your shoulder allows it. We want to see if we can keep this left ASIS, that frontal hip point, down, and then extend the front body forward just like our Sphinx, and encourage the left knee to stretch back. This can be a lot for some bodies, especially biker bodies. So you might need a little assistance with a belt. You can take your belt and just kind of loop it around your foot or ankle, and then bring that belt up over your back and hold it over the shoulder. That's also nice if you have any shoulder issues and you can't reach back with the shoulder. If you notice that your left knee maybe has swung out to the left, just encourage it back in a little bit towards the midline. Once you've found your shape, your pose today, and come back to the breath. So we held that first one for about 4 minutes, and we're going to hold this for about 3 on each side, and we're already a minute in. Maintaining that shape that we started in, but adding in this flexion in the knee will encourage the quadriceps to lengthen a little bit and stretch, especially the outermost quadricep, your rectus femoris, which crosses both the hip joint and the knee joint. was 3 minutes, so just take your time. Loose that leg back, remove your belt. Rock your leg out a little bit and just notice how that might feel compared to the right leg. It might already feel like, that feels pretty good. You might feel it up into your back as well. Take as much time as you need between sides and move in whatever way you need to move between sides. And then we'll switch it up. You'll bend your right knee, reach back, touch the inner foot, outer foot over the top, draw it in. Maybe turn fingers and toes forward. So even though I can do this, I find it less effortful if I do use a belt. So you might find the same thing. You're welcome to use a belt. You're welcome to not use a belt. Since we're holding it for a while, it's nice to get a sense of just kind of ease as you're holding it. And just enjoying that longer held stretch. So as you continue to stretch here, I'd just like to show you one other way that you could, there's many ways. One other way that you could use your belt. So putting a loop in your belt, you can do this later, you can watch this again later and maybe try it with the belt like this. So you'll make a large loop in your belt, large enough, you can always change it, that you think you could hook it around your foot and then hook it around your shoulder like a jacket. Okay, and again, you can always change it if it's not perfect. So you make that big loop and you'll bend that knee. Since you're on your right side, I'll just talk you through the right. And you'll hook the big long loop over your foot and you'll bring it up over the right shoulder. And that way I don't have to hold it at all. Just got my forearms on the mat. And the belt is pretty comfortably resting on my right shoulder. So it's doing the same thing that it was doing when I was holding it. Just a lot less effort, just pretty nice. You might even prop yourself up here. Again, you're just finding what works the best for you. Let's give it about 3 more deep breaths, and then that'll be about our 3-minute hold. After your 3rd breath, if you do have the kind of strap jacket, whatever if you will, over your shoulder, just release it carefully and take your belt off your foot. And come on down. And just relax. You might like to wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. Sometimes it feels nice here to bend the knees and just take both feet to one side and the other, just kind of swinging them back side to side. For me, I get a really nice quadriceps stretch or massage when I do that, but it also helps to release the back. And come back to the center, stretch your legs out, bring your hands up next to your chest, push yourself up to hands and knees, cross your shins and sit behind your feet. Scoot yourself forward on your mat. And we're going to take the belt. Just make sure you have that as you lie onto your back. I like to start with both of the knees bent, feet on the mat. And then you can draw the right knee into your chest and take your belt over the right heel and extend the leg up. So you want to keep both of your sides of your pelvis grounded. And you want your back to do its best to maintain its neutral curve here. Sometimes when the leg goes up, the back rounds, like when we're on the bike. So let your pelvis be more neutral. And then see if you can get that leg straight, which might, for you, mean this leg goes down here to be straight, because if you pull it in here, it likes to bend. So let's try to get it all the way straight. Pelvis all the way down. Chest spreading out and the shoulders relaxed. Not a death grip on the belt. And then it's up to you. If you'd like, you can straighten out your left leg on the mat. If that suddenly took it up a notch and it's too much, just bend the knee again. If it's straight, you might like to actively reach the bottom of your left foot. Press the back of that leg down as you reach up into the belt with your heel. Think of the bones of your leg reaching up. And then back to the breath. Long, slow, steady breath. In through the nose. And out through the nose. This is called Supta Padangustasana, and it's a really effective way to stretch your hamstrings, back of the leg. And it's effective. It's more effective to stretch one leg like this at a time than both at the same time if you're working on your flexibility. And doing it on the floor like this on your back, it's a nice safe way to stretch out your hamstrings because you can work on keeping your spine neutral. You know it's pretty neutral if you still got that natural curve in your back. Got one more minute here. And one more cycle of breath. Bend your knee, take your belt away, stretch your leg out and just let your leg relax. Notice
how it feels compared to your left leg. Lighter, freer. And then we'll switch. Bend your knees, draw left knee in, take your belt onto the ball of your, or the left heel, push into the belt as you extend the leg. Keep in mind you have two sides to your body and they are not always going to be exactly the same. But we do want to keep the pelvis grounded on this side, work the leg straight, maybe stretch your right leg out. So just find where you are on this side. Honor that you might have some differences. And don't force yourself. Don't force yourself to maybe go as far as you did on the other side. Don't go to a place where you feel like you're gonna pop. It's not what we're going for. We are going for a tangible stretch, something that feels like it's therapeutic, where you can still be really calm and breathe and talk. I mean, we're not trying to have a conversation, but you know, you would be able to. There's many different ways to hold the belt as well. Find what works for you. Just make sure you don't have a death grip on the belt. Now, if you are someone who's really tight and your leg is like way down here, and it's like a lot of work to hold your leg, if you're a bigger person, keep in mind that each of your legs weighs like 1/4 of the weight of your body. So that could be a lot of weight to hold. It might get tiring. So you could come and bring your body into a doorway and put this leg that we're stretching up kind of the one side of that doorway and just let the rest of the body go through it. There's other ways that you could just use the wall or a piece of furniture as well. Sometimes we just need a little bit of support. Let's go for 2 more. Bend the knee, take the belt off, stretch your leg out, take a moment and notice. Bend both of your knees. Take your right ankle and cross it on top of your left thigh near your knee. And we're going to keep our legs in this little shape here as we bring them over to the left. Your left leg's going to hold your right foot in place, but I also like to catch a hold of that ankle with my left hand if that's available for you. The right arm can reach out to the right. It could go up at a diagonal. Just find what feels nice for you along that right side. Breathing into this very moderate twist, but maybe a really nice outer hip opener. So the key to all of these is not the most extreme stretch, but it's the time that we're putting into each stretch. So the key is time. Giving your body and your tissues a chance to adapt to this shape. And one more breath here, just a little bit of a shorter hold here. Of course, you're at home and you are more than welcome to hold this for longer. You can pause the video and then come back up and cross the leg. Feel free to move around however you might feel like you need to. And then we'll cross left ankle over the right knee. Let your legs fall over to the right side there and maybe reach with your right hand for the left ankle. Back to the breath. And I invite you to close the eyes. Go inside and notice what you feel. And after the breath you're on, one more cycle. And legs back up, uncross. Notice. And we're going to come into one more pose. Roll off to the side, use your top hand to press you up. So you're going to want your blankets. You're going to take your first blanket and place it at the back of your mat. A pillow would also work if you don't have this many blankets laying around, although you can go ahead and grab some off the bed. Your other blanket, you're going to open it up so it's kind of a big rectangle, and then you're going to kind of roll it up
and you want to kind of get any wrinkles out of it. Now, if you have a thick blanket, you don't have to roll it up completely. We don't want to have too thick of a roll. If you have a thinner blanket, that's fine. So we're going to place that maybe a foot or so in front of the other blanket. And all this is going to be at one side of your mat. You're going to take your 2 blocks that you'll also need here. And you're going to be placing those on either side of your mat. We're going to be bringing the bottoms of our feet together, the knees out. And the blocks are going to be to support your knees. Move them out if you're a little more open. Move them in. You can even angle them. Well, you can't angle them because you're on your back. But you can bring them in as close as you need to if you need more support. And then we're going to aim for this blanket to go kind of bro or bra strappy area here. So we might have to kind of adjust where we are as we start to lay back. So you're going to lie back. Before you go all the way back, pick up your sacrum and kind of tug it forward. And then start to ease back. So the shoulders are dropping down in between the 2 blankets. And the blanket is under the rib cage and it's lifting up the chest. We want to be able to tuck the shoulder blades kind of down and allow the shoulders to drop back, maybe turning the palms up, that side of the arm up. You don't have to bend your arms like a goalpost. You could have them straight out. If you feel like your lower back is really arched, that's not what we're going for. So stand up your feet, pick up your bum, slide the sacrum forward so it's a little bit flatter, and then bring those knees out. If you feel like your neck is at all comfortable, your chin is jutting up, maybe a little higher than the forehead, take your blanket, fold it up a little bit more. Some people even like to have like a little roll behind the neck and the head. I like to just have mine under the head, not the neck. Everyone's different. And close the eyes. So again, we're opening the chest, countering that forward flexed position. And then opening up those inner legs. So pedaling a bike requires that we use those adductors to keep our legs in as we pedal. Also, we're on that seat. And this just helps to open the body, allowing for some circulation and some movement and maybe some stuck energy. Come back to your breath.
for these last couple of breaths, as you breathe in, let your breath kind of flush all the way down to the inner legs. And then just let it go. One more cycle. And taking your time, you can start to place your feet on the mat, your knees bent. And then roll over to your left side carefully. Use the right hand out in front of you. And then use the right hand to push yourself up. And just take a moment once you're sitting to check in and notice how you're feeling. And I hope you feel much recovered after your bike ride. Thank you for joining me. It was my honor. Namaste.